Just such an inspiration for all our patients. So we're not gonna not have introductions today. We're just gonna jump right into things, and she'll explain what she's gonna do.
Well, I'll introduce myself. That may be because I have 4 children, right? So once you have 4 children, you don't offend easily, right? There are no questions or stupid question, right? And then you're just like, hey, we got to move forward with what we've got. So my name's Tammy. I have worked over at Health Directions about 15 years now, but I teach some classes there. I teach several classes there, but regularly on the schedule, I teach a yoga class. And what I usually come over here and do is talk about stress reduction. So has anybody ever had stress? Yeah. Anybody ever had anything happen in their life that was a little bit out of their control? No. Right. So I mean, I think if anything was indicative of this, it's this last pandemic, right? Because everybody had the same thing, but I like to think of it as like we all had our little Eeyore clouds. So we're all collective, but instead of everybody being together, we weren't allowed to look at each other, we weren't allowed to breathe at each other. I found when I went to the grocery store, I didn't even do eye contact. And it was a really isolating sort of thing. And so what I try to teach people is we are not a number. When we get a weight, a blood sugar, when we get to have stressors in our life, they don't define who we are. They're just information. And so the more we can learn about our body, about what feels good, about what feels better, about what is a good way to release stress for us, then we can feel better. And when we feel better, then we are happier. Yeah, don't we want to be happy? That's what we want. And if we are waiting for other people to make us happy, it's just not going to happen. If we're waiting for the world to be perfect, it's not going to happen. And my youngest is 15 now, and she used to be sweet. So I mean, the good thing about having 4 kids is at least one is usually sweet at all points, and it was her, but no longer. So I can't be offended by that, right? Because they don't define who I am. So. We're going to talk about creating tension in our muscles to release stress. So have you ever thought about that as a way to release stress? I mean, you hear, go walking, but have you ever seen a 2-year-old have a temper tantrum? Like, right? Did we teach them that?
No. Yes.
You did? You went at first, like, when you're mad, here's what you do, right?
Sure.
It is kind of innate in us to create tension in the muscles and then to loosen it out. And it really does help us reduce stress. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to move around. We're going to do something that I will call chair yoga. We won't be doing anything too crazy, no back bends, splits, no headstands, but things that we could do. So let's say that we're sitting and we want to move. We can move, and we can do some things with our bodies that help us feel better. Anybody want to feel better? Yes. I know I do. And so let's all start and just circle around on your hips, and you may have to scoot up just a little bit. And so why do I say start with circling around on our hips? Because our hips are often tight and we don't know it. So I got into yoga for 2 reasons. My neck hurt me every day, and my back, my knees, and sometimes my back. But my knees, my neck. Change directions. I thought I had bad knees. Anybody ever thought they had bad knees, right? But what I found out was I had tight hips. And so if you have tight hips, your body has to give somewhere, rock forwards and backwards. A lot of times it's the knees, and other times it's the back. So anybody ever had back pain? Mm-hmm. Anybody ever wanted their back to feel better?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. If you work on loosening your hips, it can really help. All right, so we're going to plant our feet and really kind of feel steady on the ground. And then yoga is about kind of aligning the body up. So we want our shoulders over our hips, and then we're going to take our arms up in the air and just loosen up our shoulders. Now, if you touch your neighbor, that is okay, but if you grab on, that is not recommended. Now, here's the weird part, right? So my mom goes and she gets warned about the dangers of yoga, and I bet they saw something like this and like, that's weird, right? But what we're doing, we're just warming up our shoulders. And then we're going to reverse it. So we're going to go up and take the elbows down and pull your shoulder blades together in the back. And I just got what I call free chiropractic adjustment. So if you hear a crick or a crack, that's okay. But if you have pain, that's not okay. All right, we're going to take our hands behind us. And we've got these things in the way, so maybe we put our arms underneath it. And we're going to do, now in yoga they would call this opening up your heart. But I'm just going to say, like raise your chin up and breathe into your chest. Does anybody think it feels good? Oh, good. I'm glad somebody said yes. That's good. All right. Scoot up just a little bit. Because here's the thing. We're going to circle around our hips again. We spend so much of our life forward. And you know, they've got this thing. They even are finding it with the young kids. They call it text neck. Because they're like this all the time, right? We're losing some of that curve in our neck. And you may say, I am not on my phone that much. I am. But change your directions. Are we on computers? Are we driving? Are we reading a book? Are we cooking? Our entire life is forward. All right, rock forward and backwards. And if we can do something that helps open and spread our chest, we will begin to feel better. So take a big breath in, and we're going to come back and grab on again and see if we have a little more room. And now you know what we're doing. It's not too crazy, right? Does it start to feel a little bit better? You don't have to say yes, but if it does. All right, and then roll your shoulders. So what I find, that if I start adding some opening of my chest to my life, I feel better, right? And a lot of times that there's things in our neck, right? So I'm not saying that you have big heads. I'm just saying we got little necks, right? So if we spend our life like this hurts. Then our back, everything hurts, right? So we want to do things to stretch, to lengthen, to create the tension in the muscles, and to release it for stretch. So take a big breath in, and then we're going to come down and lower hand and just grab onto something. So maybe we grab onto the chair or under the chair, and then we're going to take our ear towards our shoulder. All right, so do we feel something here? Breath. See if you can help relax that muscle with your exhale. And then we're going to take our head up and we're going to look over, and then maybe we take that head down. So when we are tense, when we have a lot of stress in our life, our tendency is to protect our necks. So bring the head back, and by shrugging, right? But have you ever felt that tension and you do this? And so we can combat that by stretching it out. So big breath in. Now listen, y'all can say yes, you can say no, you won't hurt my feelings. Grab on to the other side. We're going to take our ear towards our shoulder, not our shoulder towards our ear, and stretch up. Is one side different than the other?
No.
For me, they're drastically different. Now, does that make me a terrible person? No. Does that make me maybe asymmetrical? And the answer to that is yes. Yes. So take the head up and look over our shoulder, and maybe we go down. Bring the head back up. Roll our shoulders a little bit. So what does it mean? Why would we be a little asymmetrical? Because we have injuries, we do things to our bodies, and finding out that we're a little bit different, we can make improvements. Information, right? Okay, so we're going to take one leg out, we're going to take the other one, and cross it where you can. So if we can cross it over the knee, we do. If we can just cross it here, we do. So wherever we can, and then we're going to begin to bend our leg a little bit and see if we can get into the hip. Now, if this is so easy for you, then just go ahead and take your foot behind your head, and we will watch you, right? I've got one kid that can do it, but I was like, would you please hold on to something? Because if you fall and your foot's behind your head, that is not going to go well, right? Anybody feel the outside of their hip with this? So let's circle our foot. So our foot's not connected to our hip at all, but can you feel it in your hip? All right, change directions. Now, if we're doing any exercise or we're doing anything, we want to protect our necks, our knees. We want our knee and toes to line up together. So flex your foot, and this will help protect our knees. Now, as a person who struggled with her knees, it is very important that I not do things that hurt my knees, right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a big breath in, grow really tall. We're going to come forward, and we're not lowering that head. We're going to hinge right at our hips and come forward until you feel deeper in your hip. Now, if you're making this face, you went too far. So only to where we can feel it, and then we can kind of release our breath, soften our body. So let's all take a big breath. And rise back up. Now, could you sit there at the computer and cross your leg? Right? Would this be some of y'all are saying, no, okay, well back up so there's enough room, but I'm just saying we can watch TV, we can stretch our hip, and we don't have to be doing something like, hey everybody, I'm doing yoga, right? So we can just stretch our hip. Now, I'm more stretched out on one side than the other, and that is because I cross my legs the same way every time. I do it. I have to think about it. All right, so let's go ahead and take our leg and cross, and if we don't cross here, just crossing somewhere, and we're going to come into a twist. So, bringing out the spine, this is very, very good for us. But anytime we're going to go into a twist, I want you to take a breath in and make space between our vertebrae. Have you ever heard of somebody injuring their back, and they're like, what did you do? And they're like, I reached for a can of green beans. Right. I mean, something that you're like, I'm even embarrassed to tell this story, right? But we can take our breath, grow tall. So take a big breath in. And I want your opposite hand to your leg so we come into a twist. We can just take our hand to the outside of our leg. Maybe we take the other one here. And does it feel like we're kind of wringing like a sponge? Yeah, thank you to whoever answered me in the back, yes. Okay, imagine we have a string pulling us from the ceiling, and so we're getting really tall, and take a breath. And then we're going to take our head in the opposite direction, and now you guys look very regal. And we're coming back to center. Uncross the legs, take them a little bit wider. We're going to do the other side. And then begin to circle around on your hips. Now, this circling around on the hips, it starts to loosen them up, and it's not too crazy on us, right? It's not hurting anybody. Let me say, maybe you're like, it's crazy, Tammy, but change directions. But it doesn't hurt, right? So our hips are a ball and socket joint, and our knees are a hinge joint. So our knee just does this. We can't do our knee in all sorts of crazy ways, but our hips, we can. Let's bring our foot back in, and we can cross it. Oh, let's go ahead and take it out. We can cross an ankle, or maybe we can cross a knee. Maybe we can take it behind our head. I don't know if anybody was looking at me. Anybody was like, hey, but this leg is a lot tighter than the other. It's a lot tighter than the other. Does that make me a terrible person? No. Does that make me somebody that always crosses their legs the same way every time, and all of a sudden one hip is all stretched out and the other one isn't? So when we start using this as information, like, okay, this hip is more tight, maybe I can cross my leg this way. Yes?
When you say crossing your legs, you just mean like when you're sitting down and you're crossing your legs?
Yeah, I come from that generation.
I haven't been able to do that since I was 13. So.
Well, see, there was, and
I didn't know. I just wanted to
they
make
say
sure.
Don't do it, but
I
you
just
know,
wanted to make
I'm
sure
in
I
the
was
generation where they're like, be like a lady, cross your legs, right? And so what do they say? Be like a lady, cross your legs one way, and then like 2 minutes later, cross it the other way. No, it's like I don't think about it.
Yeah.
So my whole point of that is not let's cross our legs. But all of a sudden, I did something that created imbalance in me. And I just want to know. So like when we know better, we can do better, right? Okay, so let's circle around. And this side is way different for me than the other. And so I like to go, okay, so I need to stretch this hip a little bit longer. I want to stretch both sides, but I maybe need to spend a little more time here. Or I need to be a little gentler. And then take a big breath in, flex that foot so we're lining knees and toes up, and then come forward. And I'm not going to go as far this time because I feel it much more quickly. And this is information. This is information that will help us feel better. You know, one of my hips is out. My back's hurting. Can I do something to help loosen my hips? See, I didn't know. I didn't know that my back or my knees hurt because my hips were tight. And so we just get some information. We try to create balance, and we feel better. All right, take that out. Let's circle around on the hips again. We can take it a little bit wider. Knees and toes want to line up together. Change directions. Forwards and backwards. So when we get information and we realize that this information doesn't, it's not a judgment on us, it's just information, so we can feel better and we can make better choices. All right, really, really tall, big breath in. We're going to come back again and grab behind us. So maybe we grab here this time, or maybe we're back and we grab down lower. Whatever is fine. Come and raise the chin. Is this starting to feel good? Thank you. 3 people liked it. That's good.
Stretch.
Good.
It's a good stretch. It's a good stretch.
Good stretch.
It's one of those things that, maybe you're not going to remember everything that I teach you, but maybe you can remember this. Like, hey, you remember? Oh, man, I'm feeling all this tension. I'm driving here. And, yeah, this feels better, right? Okay, we got our legs a little bit wide. Take a big breath in. We're going to come forward and we're going to take our elbows to our thighs. Now, remember, we never want to do this. We want to go long and hinge at the hips and come forward. And maybe you have to do a little bit of this. Let me find that sweet spot, or let me get into where it is. Now, roll your shoulders down your back, lengthen out, and what do we feel? I hear whispering. What do we feel?
Stretch a little bit more.
Yeah. Does it feel good or is it painful?
No, actually feels good.
Yeah, I'm good, because that is what I want. We don't want pain. We don't want pain, right? Okay, so we're going to take our hand on the inside of our knee. Take a big breath in. This is another twist, so we're just going to raise up. Now, let's say this hurts your shoulder. You can take your hand to your back pocket. It's still a twist. And then we're going to come down, bring the other hand in. Big breath. We want to make space before we twist. But this wringing out of the spine, this twisting, it gets rid of inflammation. It's one of those things that help us feel better. Rise back up. Okay, now we're going to get fancy, y'all. Cat and cow. So lots of yoga terms. They're all like animal names. And some of them, I'm like, who came up with cow face? Like, honestly, who came up with it? But cat, think about an angry cat, right? And then think about a cow with its sloping belly. And this is just about getting movement in our spine. So just a little bit of cat and cow moving in our spine. Because we want to loosen our hips, we want our backs to feel better, we want our knees to feel better, we want our necks to feel better. Okay, now we're going to circle around on our hips. And do you see how it's easy, but it takes that pressure. If we were doing cat and cows and we felt it, takes the pressure, change directions. Okay, y'all ready to get fancy now? Now we're going to do cat, cow, and circle. So just, I know, you're like, now I'm a belly dancer, right? Never wanted to be a belly dancer, but now I am. See, all they had to do was cat, cow, and a circle, and we are belly dancers.
I always wanted to be a belly dancer.
There you go.
So now I know how.
I mean, yeah, now you got it. You're like, one class, I'm ready. All right, rock forwards and backwards. So, moving our body in different ways. Sometimes we get pain because we have injury or we have to have some inflammation in the body, right? So, they're protecting areas that are injured, or the fluids kind of go around it. Or if we have arthritis, I have arthritis in my neck. It is from something when I was an idiot kid, and I got an X-ray on my neck, and the chiropractor was like, "You did something when you were a teenager, probably." And I'm like, "I know what I did." Right? So what do you do when you have these pain areas? If we can get movement, and if we can squeeze, if we can get the blood flow going, it is going to make it feel better. And when we feel better, we're happier. And it's not selfish to take some time for yourself. It's not selfish to feel better, because guess what? When you do, you have more to give to other people. Right? All right. We're going to take one leg out. Doesn't matter to me which one. We're going to take our hand to our bent knee. So we're never going to press on our knee that's a hinge joint that doesn't go that way. So we'll put our pressure on the bent knee. Big breath in, and we're just going to come forward until we feel the back of this leg. So how do we feel even more if we pull our toes up? If you're like, this is the easiest thing I've ever done, just grab onto your foot and lift your leg up in the air. We'll feel a little bit more. I love it. Somebody always tries it that time. I can't do it. Do you feel that stretch? Does it feel terrible, or does it start to feel good? Like, oh, like this feels good. You know why? Rise back up. It is because we created tension in that muscle, and it releases, and we feel better. So let's come to the other leg. Pressing again, bent leg, not pressing on an extended knee. Come forward. This side, totally different for me than the other. Once again, make me a terrible person? No. Make me human? Yes. Human. So often we are so hard on ourselves when all we can do is use this as information to make better choices, right? All right. Rise back up. Circle around one more time. And then change direction. So we're going to talk about our hip flexors. So the hip flexor muscles attach at the top and create and go the top of the body down. So one attaches like here, one goes over the knee, and if they are tight, you'll see this. So have you ever seen people as they get older and their quads get tight and their hip flexors get tight, and then they start to walk a little bit forward, and then when you walk forward like this, guess what happens? Your back hurts, and when your back hurts, you quit moving, right? So we want to feel good. We want to move as much as we can. Working in a chair is a great way to do it, so that we'll be ready, that when we're up for other things, we're not doing it like this, right? So I'm going to turn a little bit sideways on my chair. Now remember, I talked about knees and toes being lined up together. When I take my leg behind me, I want knees and toes lined up. So I'm just taking my leg slightly behind me, and then I'm going to tuck my tailbone and try to get a little bit taller. So this is what I'm stretching right here. Oh, y'all can't see. Okay, I'll do it. Yeah, you got it. You got it. It's just this. It's just this. Okay? So, do you feel it? You may be like, what are we doing? We're just stretching. Can you feel it? Okay. Take your tailbone, go a little bit taller. Can you feel a little bit more? Now, if you wanted even more, you could take the arms up in the air, or you could go into a back bend. We don't even have, not too crazy, but just stretching this out. You feel it? Okay. Is it torture? No. All right, come on back up. I don't like to torture people. I want people to feel better. And I want you to say, hey, I'm in a chair, but look at me. I can do all these things that'll make me feel better. Right? We're going to change. I love it. To my people that went to the other direction, that's exactly where we are going. So we do, in yoga, we want to do one side and we want to do the other side. Tuck the tailbone, grow a little bit taller. Can you feel that stretch? Nobody felt it, that's okay. All right. Let's come back. Let's come back in. And then just circle around on the hips. And y'all know what I'm going to do one more time. I'm going to open the heart, right? Change directions. I think when we find these things and they start to make us feel better, you know, we can sleep better. These things can help us sleep better. These things can help us feel better. Or we can say, oh, I'm tight on one side. Tammy said, hang out there a little bit longer, right? So we can loosen up. Take a big breath in. Now, we're going to do the biggest heart opener that we can do. So either we grab here or we grab under, and maybe we lean a little bit into it, and we can raise our chin. Take a big breath. Tell you what, y'all are going way further than you did because it starts to feel good. All right, so we are going to just shimmy in your seat. Just so there's a pose in yoga, and it is called chair pose. Now, chair pose. I know he's like, what do we have to do, right? So chair pose is basically that we're just making a chair with our body, but what it does is it builds strength in our quads because we want to be able to get out of chairs, right? We want to be able to get out of it. So we can work on building strength in our quads without having to do all this crazy walking lunges and stuff. We can kind of shift our weight and maybe we don't even come out of the chair, or maybe we do. So chair pose would be lifting slightly up, but we want to come till we feel tension right here in these muscles, which may just be shifting forwards. Can you feel it? Now, is chair pose mean you have to hold it for 2 hours for it to be effective? No. Can we practice this a little bit when we're sitting there instead of, hey, jumping right up? Maybe we say, can I hover here and build some strength and then stand up? All right, so hover, build some strength, stand up, arms overhead. And then we're going to take our hands behind us. And listen, we don't even have to grab onto the back of the chair to open up our chest. Roll the shoulders. How are we feeling? Good. How do you do the circling around on the hips when you're standing up? So we're just going to loosen up right here. I tell you, some of y'all are into it. They're like, I always wanted to be a belly dancer, and now I know, and change directions. And some of y'all are going, I never wanted to be a belly dancer. What are we doing? We're just having fun. You never have to do any of this again, but if something feels good to you, maybe you want to. Okay?
That's where I feel a difference on one side or the other.
Isn't it interesting? It's interesting. We're asymmetrical. Whether it is that we have an injury or, I mean, I know when I had babies, when I went back to work, so I went back to work when my son was a baby, and apparently I just sat there rocking like this, and somebody was like, oh, I know you have a baby. And I'm like, oh, didn't even know I was doing it, right? So sometimes we carry things on one side, sometimes we have had an injury. There are things that make us a little bit imbalanced. Now we're going to talk about downward facing dog. So if you have ever seen a yoga thing, that's kind of like creating a V with your body. We're not going to get down on the floor. You're welcome. But we can use our chair and do create a V with our body. What's the point? The point is we're working on making space in our body. We're working on lengthening up. We want to lengthen our back, right? And this pose is one of the best ways that we can do it. So I will show it to you first. I'm just going to grab onto the chair. I am just taking my tailbone back. And then maybe I want to bend my knees a little bit. And do you see how it's just making length? And it should feel good. So if we don't feel it, we want our tailbone to go way back past our legs. And once we're there, we want to breathe into our back, so take a breath. And I want you to bend your knees and begin to rise up. This is called reverse swan dive. You guys didn't want to come out of it, did you? Okay. One person was like, no, I really did. And the rest of y'all, no, we did. So making lanes. So this is what we're doing. How do we make space in our body so there's room for the inflammation to go out so we feel better? Right? So we're going to do it again. Come, do we want to move a chair? If there's a chair that's in your way or something, we have enough room to kind of scoot it. Are we okay? Okay. All right. So we're going to take a big breath in, bring our hands in, and then we're going to come down forward. I want you to come to your chair, and maybe we just go a little bit further down. And then we're going to step back with one foot and step back with the other foot, and then take our tailbone way, way, way back. We could do this seated by just grabbing something in front of us. Now, I'm going to bend my right leg and I'm going to look under my right elbow. Or the other way, whatever is fine. And we're going to switch and we'll do the other side. Can you feel what that changes in what you're feeling? No? Yes? Maybe?
Yes.
Bend both of the knees. Reverse swan dive up. If you're like, I don't know a swan dive. Yeah, we're just opening up. And then we're going to take our hands down behind our back and breathe into our chest. Roll it all out. I would like for us to take our chairs so we can come, and these are some super comfy chairs. And yeah, these are nice. We want to get where we can use the seat of the chair. So we're not going to use the arms so much this time. We're going to use the seat of the chair, and we are going to do a sun salutation. You guys are going to be real yogis after this. You always want to be one, right? Yeah. All right. So, big breath in. We're going to come down. This will be a forward fold. So we're just going to come down. Maybe we can get our elbows, maybe just our hands. Maybe we go slightly further. Take a breath into the back. And then I want you to put your hands in the chair and I want you to come. This is called a halfway lift. So I'm making a really straight back. And maybe I can feel it in the backs of my legs. Anybody feel it in the backs of their legs? And if not, maybe we can wiggle a toe, raise some toes or something. Forward fold again. We're going to come down towards the chair. And then we're going to step back and come to that downward facing dog. So a half a step back with each side and take our tailbone way, way out. All right, y'all ready to get really fancy? Take your weight into the left leg and raise the right leg just a little bit. So we're doing a balance. This is called three-legged dog. I heard somebody call it a yard dog, but all right, put that one down and then we're going to raise the other one. And then we're going to step our foot a little bit closer. So one closer, one further away. This is called pyramid pose. So our legs are like have a triangle between them, if you can see it. And then I want you to begin to come down closer to the seat, or maybe we come to our elbows. And what do we feel? Yes, a stretch. A torture stretch or a good stretch? Good. Thank you to whoever said it was good. I agree. Come back halfway up. We're going to switch. We're going to take one leg back. We're going to bring the other one forward. We're going to come down, maybe to our elbows. And then rise back up and step our feet together. Big breath in. Now we're going to reach one hand up and over and breathe into our ribs. The other hand up and over. Breathe into our ribs. Anybody know what's coming next? Both hands, behind us. You're never going to come to a class of mine where I wouldn't do this because it feels good. It's important. It's missing in my life. Okay, it's not missing anymore because I work on it, but it was missing in my life. You just did a sun salutation. Do you feel like a yogi now? Pretty good? Who said yes? I love it. You are welcome back next time. Big breath in. Exhale down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, downward facing dog. So we're just stepping back. We're taking our tailbone back. We do not have to do three-legged dog, but if we want to, we can raise one leg up. It's good to do some balances, but this is a pretty good supported balance. Put our foot down, and then maybe we raise the other one, or we just raise. Look at this. Fantastic. Both feet down. Come to downward facing dog, so take that tailbone back. Bend the knees and take your tailbone back even more. Breathe into the back. Soften your knees, reverse swan dive up. And then we're going to come to what's called mountain pose. So mountain pose, I would call it an anatomical neutral. So if we were laying on the ground and we had our hands out and we had our feet out, everything would be lined up. So we were talking about what we do in our life that has us all forward, right? Right? So when we do mountain pose, this is how we can be the strongest that we can be. We have heels, hips over heels, shoulders over hips, and heads over shoulders. You feel kind of steady? Take a breath. We're going to come back and sit down. First of all, thank you guys for participating with me. I am on video, and y'all made me look good. We're going to talk about one of the most important things of yoga. You know how I cued breath for you, right? So I talked about the breathing. I had a lady say to me one time, she said, Tammy, I have been breathing all my life. And I'm like, you're right. You have been, thank goodness, right? Because it's required. But do you know that we as Americans only use about 40% of our breath? And we have 60% that is wasted. And it is such good exercise practice for us, whatever, to breathe into different parts of our bodies, to make length, to get more energy. Did you know that a very, very slow exhale can relax your body? You know, you hear people say, deep breaths. When you're anxious, deep breaths, right? And it does, and we're going to practice kind of calming our body that way. What I love the most about our breath is it's always on us. So if you are in traffic on the way here and you're super frustrated because, you know, they shut down 77 or they're doing construction and we've got all this stuff that's out of our control. The only thing that we do have in our control is our reaction to it. And so often, our reaction could be improved. Maybe not yours. Maybe it's just mine. Maybe it's just my teenagers. But, you know, we have a lot of power that we don't know. And so we're going to practice on kind of calming our body with our breath and seeing what it feels like. And on visualization. Have you ever done visualization? Okay. 2 people. 2 of y'all have. Okay, the rest of us, we're all gonna do it. So I want you to find something super comfy, and these are very, very comfy chairs. So we want our feet on the floor, and I'm just gonna paint a picture for you. So if you want to close your eyes and participate with me, I would like for you to see, hey, what does my body feel like right now? And let's just see what it feels like when we're done. Okay? Oh, all right. So we're gonna close your eyes. Take a big breath. Imagine that we are a big burlap sack full of rice. Just brown, plain rice. But we are sitting on a hill, just kind of heavy and just not doing much. And then in a bottom corner, the burlap begins to tear and the rice begins to pour out. So as the rice begins to pour out, the sack becomes closer to the ground, more floppy, more connected. And as as we watch the rice pour out. Everything just relaxes. Take a moment to see how you feel. And then we're going to do another visualization. I am going to walk around. I have a bunch of helium balloons, and I will give you as many as you want. I'm also giving you a Sharpie. And on each of the balloons that you have in front of you, I want you to write whatever comes to mind. So if it's good, bad, whatever comes to mind, write one thing per balloon, as many as you want, writing quickly. Maybe it's something you learned, maybe it's something that's been bothering you, maybe it's, hey, something that's trivial. And when we are done writing whatever has come to mind, we drop the pen on the floor. And we take a look at our balloons. And as we look at what has come to mind, we evaluate it. Is it helpful or is it judgment? And if it is something that doesn't feel good, if it is something that is bothering us, we are going to let that balloon go and watch it float into the sky. And if it is information, and if it is something that is helpful for us, we're going to hold on to it. We let go of the things that don't help us move forward. We hold on to what does. Begin to find your breath. Begin to open your eyes. Just take a moment to see how your body feels. So often, the things that we would write, the things that would come to mind, the things in my life would be all the ways that I fall short, or all the things. I have a daughter who's diabetic, like her blood sugar numbers that feel like, oh, look, I didn't do well. Or if we get on a scale and it's not quite what we want it to be, we think that this is who we are, but it's not who we are. It is information. And when we take away the judgment and things and we go to, this is information for me to make a better choice, or for me to do something that will help me feel better. Or Tammy crosses her legs the same way every time. I need to create balance, right? And we hold on to these things that help us move forward. We live happier lives. That's what we all want, right? How are we feeling? Feel okay? I'm going to tell you what I would tell anybody who did a yoga class, and that would be drink some water. So we think, hey, we hadn't been sweating, we hadn't been, but if we have been squeezing and we have released inflammation, we want to flush it out. So we want to drink some water. We want to bring freshness. If we think of a sponge, how it goes, and you get rid of the yucky stuff and you let in the good and the fresh. There's a program at Health Directions, the Exercise is Medicine program, that will be offered to each of you that have been in the program, and it is 2 months free membership at Health Directions, 1 mile-ish up the road from here. And I say it's a true gift. It's a gift. It is 8 personal training sessions. Not that it's personal to you. Your injuries, your history, your background, the things you like, they're personal. And so this person will help you become active in a way that's healthy for you, answer your questions. And then you get used to the facility for another month to practice it without somebody, there'll be a resource for you, but to do it on your own, because ultimately, we want to be successful, right? And so we want to give 2 months there for you, and the foundation pays for it, so it's of no cost. It's really a gift. And if that's something that we have. If Health Directions is not for you, there's something that would make you be better. But I always got to do a little promo, because I feel like this is one of the greatest things about Lexington is they have, like, hey, we've got these things for you, we've got this support group, and look, we've got an opportunity for you if you think you'd like it, and it's a gift. So, if any of you have any questions for me, I'm going to be heading out soon, but I want to thank each one of you for participating with me. Did you learn anything? Did you learn anything about your body? Did you realize? What's that? Asymmetrical. Does that make you a terrible person? No. We almost all, not almost, we all are. No, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfectly aligned. Nobody, we got to know these things. And when we learn about our body, we can do better. And then when something's a little bit off, we know. Because guess what? We've figured out what normal is for us. If we don't know what normal is, then how do we know when something isn't? So we always want to tune in. We want to listen to our body. If it feels good, we want to move in that way that feels good. And if it's terrible, there's something else that's going to be better for us. So, did I cheerlead you enough? Woo! Yoga cheerleader. Who wants to become a belly dancer now?
Yep.
Belly dancer. Yeah, she always wanted to be one.
Yes.
Thank y'all. It wouldn't go as well if you guys didn't participate. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it. All right, any questions for me before I head out? Yes, ma'am.
So what happens after the 2 months?
After the 2 months, you have the options of joining. It's about $45 a month, so about a little more than $10 a week. That includes all the classes. And we have 56 classes a week that I think are free. We have a tremendous schedule. And then the other thing is, it's not what I call a bikini gym. Y'all ever gone to a bikini gym? Like everybody's wearing full outfits. And we're not about tanning, we're about wellness. And wellness is not just how you look in a bikini. Wellness is how's our mind, how's our social, how are we doing emotionally? And we have classes for all ages, levels, abilities. We have chair yoga classes, we have chair strength classes, we have chair exercise classes, we have Zumba if you like to shake it, we have strength classes. There are so many things and we call ourselves a wellness center. So we have a dietitian that comes in, blood work once a year that's free for you and a spouse if you wanted to. And then we have guest speakers. So it is not, it is not just about one thing. You realize there's 7 dimensions to wellness, and we're all about that. And also, I just have to say this, you're not going to get somebody fresh out of school that you're their first client, right? You're going to get people who really know, are knowledgeable, who are accountable, and who genuinely have your best interests at heart. So.
And I can tell you from experience, if you haven't done it, do it. I just had my 8th training session yesterday, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I learned a lot. And so I'm going to continue to do those things, and it's a great thing. So,
it's always good when somebody invests in you personally. It's not you have to cookie cutter into their program. It's this program is designed for you. So I love gifts like that. Those are my favorite kind of gifts. Thank you all for spending this time with me. Jen, you ever done my class before? No. She's going to be a regular yoga now, y'all. Thank you. Have a great one. Bye.
Hi, Phoebe. I'll talk to you. Any other questions or concerns? We try to really always advertise Health Directions, just so you guys can take advantage of that, even if you just go for the 8 weeks, Afterwards, they give you a whole workout program, so if you think, well, I don't want to drive over here to go to the gym, I want to go to the gym you know, right down the street, you know how to work out. And I think what patients tell me a lot is confidence. They feel like they could walk into any gym and they'd be confident about how to work out. Would you agree? Would you would? Good.
Yes, because they show you, like, at least my trainer did, there's lots of machinery, lots of different machines with different weights and things like that. And then, of course, they have the free weights, and but they have treadmills and ellipticals, all those kind of things that you hear about or read about and may not have ever used before. But they teach you. That's what and they're 30 minutes. Each session is 30 minutes. And they actually, the trainers actually talk to you the first time and get to know you a little bit, and then do a little bit. They figure out what you need and which exercises they need to teach you. So it's really worthwhile, definitely, because then you know that how to use those machines and how to do those exercises, and it is very, very helpful. So you can feel confident about going in there. And then other people that are in there are very friendly and helpful as well. So that are in there just working out, So if you had a question, even though there are some of the trainers that are there on staff, and you could ask some of those, there are also other people there who are also working out that, you could feel free to ask questions, I think.
It's 5 till 7. I was going to open it up in a little bit, but it's late. I think we'll call it a day. Tammy's daughter had a performance. That's why she kind of had to run out. But if you go home and you have questions or you want to talk more, you certainly can MyChart us. You can, email us. All of us questions about exercise. I think our goal for this class, and we always do an exercise class in the support group, is just that you'll continue to exercise, whatever you choose to do, whether you do it at Health Directions or not, that you'll find your own program, and you start wherever you start. Maybe you've been an exerciser, well, pick it up, maybe a little bit more now after surgery, and maybe you've never been an exerciser, and you find something that you really like to do. You keep on doing that. Okay, I think next month is emotional eating. So that will be always a good topic, because none of us emotionally eat, right?
No.
Not at all. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you much.
Have a great night.
You did better.